The next poem is called "Allow Me," and it's by Chungmi Kim. If I butchered your name, I apologize. Not that you would see this. I'm pretty sure you're up. Like your poem is there. Like it's really dope. I glanced it. I didn't really look at it yet. I will see how you read it with this one. Oh God, not two different sounds, bro. Okay, "Allow Me" by Chungmi Kim. If I must worry about how I will live in my old age without wealth, I would be without health now, and how can I live to be old? If I must worry about how I will live in my old age without love, I would be without dreams, and how can I go on living another day? Allow me to sit in the sun and listen to the sky. I will love you gently. Allow me to stay in my room and weave my rainbows. I will love you truly. Like a colt in the meadow with no boundary, allow me to wander around till I hear the sound of autumn steadily strolling by my door. I'll be waiting to be with you then. Wow. I really fucked with it. It was like such a simple poem, but it was deep. This is another thing I like about poem. It's all about interpretation. A lot of art in general is based off interpretation. Because I remember the it's like Stewart Garden Museum or something like that in Boston. I forgot the exact name of it, but it was something like that. And I remember the museum was pretty much a collection of this lady's stuff, right? And a lot of her stuff was things she got from throughout her life, things she bought in multiple places. Like that was just something that made her really happy. And everything she got came with a little description from the artist about what it was. And I remember the story that they told us was before she passed away, she wanted to make everything that she had into a museum, right? But she told people not to preserve the little notes that would tell people what art was. She wanted the museum in her name, but she didn't want anyone to look at something and have a interpretation of it, and someone could be like, "Oh, you're right," or "Oh, you're wrong." She wanted everything so that somebody could possibly think by looking at any of those pieces that were there to be correct. Like pretty much like what you're looking at, it is your truth, and that is it. And that's the thing I've always liked about poetry is what the great poems are. Like people talk about it. They go viral. People write poetry books and stuff like that. But I could look at a poem and it speaks to me and I get a certain message out of it. And you could look at a poem. And even if I'm the one giving the poem, even if there's a message that I want to get across to you, what you get out of it is only what you need. Like it's the idea that at times like poetry speaks to you. Like, yeah, I'm reading it, but it means something to me that it doesn't mean to you, where it's kind of like the messages are being given, but it's the exact same text for everyone. And that was the part that I really appreciated. But by that poem, when I read it and stuff like that, a lot of the things I thought about, since it wasn't that anxiety and everything like that, I think it was just her pretty much talking about like her mind like easing at a certain point. It's kind of like where it's kind of like where is it? Oh, she was like, "Allow me to stay in the room and weave my rainbows. I will love you truly. Like a colt without meadow, with no boundary, allow me to wander around till I hear the autumn steadily strolling by my door. I will be waiting to be with you then." And I think the reason why I got that was because it's kind of like the way it first started was, if I'm going to worry about how long I'm going to live about my old age without any money, then how am I going to have my health? And how can I live to be that age? If I'm going to worry about how I'm going to have no love when I get to a certain point, how am I going to, wait, which one? Oh, I forgot the part. What was it? Oh yeah, but pretty much the whole entire time, what I seen her constantly try to do with each one of those stanzas was pretty much her saying, if I worry about this, then it takes my attention away from something else that I need to prioritize. Like at the moment, this is what is a priority. I think for her was kind of like, all of these things are going to come later, but right now, let me focus on the things that are currently right. Like, let me just focus on the present. Let me focus on the things that are just here right now with me. And I really like how she said it was kind of like, what was like the very last stanza? It was like kind of like a cold with no boundary, allow me to. And it was like, allow me to wander around till I hear the autumn steadily strolling by my door. Autumn is, if you guys know, like there's certain things in poetry where it's kind of like, when you talk about seasons, each season kind of represents it's more about the mood and not even the season itself. Autumn, what do you relate that to? Leaves falling, something ending, where it's beautiful, but at the end of the day, for there to be the start of something new, something else has to go. It has to be the end of this part. And that's kind of like the imagery and like symbolism that you kind of get from that. It's kind of like when it is that time, then that's when I'll worry about it. It's kind of like when, not when she's dying, but if she's saying like when it's time for me to worry about those things, when that time does come, then I'm gonna focus on it. And I think like if you were looking at it from like a perspective of anxiety, it's kind of like just relax. What I don't think it's saying like relax and like, oh, you're overreacting, but it's kind of like just be able to find your peace. Figure out how it is that you are able to just take a step back. Worry about the things that you have to worry about now. The more you worry about a future that you're not aware of, a future that you're trying to be in control of, and you realize there's so many different variables that affect it, and you're not truly going to be in control of it. So in other words, the more you focus on it, it becomes an obsession because it's something you're never going to gain control over. So this is a time where you tell your mind not to be anxious about all these things. Like you said, instead of worrying about, am I ever going to fall in love? Worry about chasing your dreams. Worry about living a life that's worth fulfilling. A life that deserves, a life where it's kind of like you feel loved. Worry about those things first. I really like the message of just understanding that when it's time, you'll be ready for it. Everything that you're doing now prepares you for that later down the line. You chase your dreams. You figure out what it is that you aspire to be. Then it leads you down a life where everything that you want will eventually come. But when it's that time, that's when you address it. Until then, you just sit back and focus on what it is that you need now to make sure that you can get to this place that you're trying to be in control of in the first place. It's so fun. I know we can do it. And then clap in one hand. I'm out. I hope y'all have a great day. This was Poetry with Chance.